Zener cards have always been a popular way of testing for extrasensory perception, also known as ESP. The idea behind the cards were thought of by a former biologist, Dr. Joseph Banks Rhine, along with his wife Louise, who both ran the first large-scale ESP research in 1927. Zener packs consist of 25 cards, each containing one of 5 symbols: star, circle, cross, wavy lines or rectangle. The cards themselves were named after Carl Zener, a researcher at the Duke University, the facility originally used as the main research site. When the cards were initially made, thin paper was used, and amid the excitement of high scores from many test subjects, it was pointed out that the symbols could be detectable from the other side of the card. New cards were made, ensuring a much thicker material was used to prevent this from happening again. The cards are easy to use and the tests themselves were basic. The cards were shuffled, 5 were picked out and then looked at one at a time by the sender. In another part of the university, the receiver or subject would point to the symbol they thought the target was looking at. According to the laws of chance, a subject would get 5 out of 25 correct if only guesswork was involved. Occasionally, luck might enable them to guess more than 5 right, but on other occasions they would get fewer correct, so that in an extended series of tests the results would even out. If, on the other hand, the subject had ESP abilities, the results would be above average. Zener cards were mainly used in 2 ways. Firstly, by having a sender in a room looking at the cards with the receiver in a second room. The receiver would rely on clairvoyance to see or sense the card. The second method relied on precognition, having the cards dealt face down with no one knowing which cards were there or in what order. The subject would be asked what symbol was on the card before being turned face up. Needless to say, when Dr. Rhine's research became public, there were many skeptics as well as other scientists willing to put their thoughts forward. Some raised questions about the theory of what was deemed as an average score for chance and what was above average, and whether the figures that Dr. Rhine was basing his experiments on were indeed correct. Another issue raised was the validity of the results. Some believed that Dr. Rhine had been cooking the books. He took these allegations in his stride and corresponded with G.R. Price, a researcher who had originally accused him of being a fraudster. After many years of the two men corresponding, where Dr. Rhine was able to answer all of Mr. Price's queries in detail, the end result was an article written by Mr. Price formally apologising for his accusations. The Zener card system is still used today and has spawned many varieties of testing. Some experiments use pictures varying in detail, as well as a slightly different technique of having the sender go to a location that the receiver tries to sense. General opinion as to the effectiveness of these tests are still varied. As with most things centred around the paranormal, there is always a divide between believers and skeptics. Despite this, however, there are many people who still use this system as a controversial form of testing, and I am sure will do for many years to come.